London is a very large, modern, affluent capital city, and as such it suffers from one of the plagues which affects such cities. That is, there is an awful lot of traffic. Indeed, there is too much traffic, there is congestion, there are traffic jams, and that on practically every working day in the city, except perhaps during the main holiday season. And at the same time, London, unfortunately, is notorious for having a rather inadequate public transport system. There are buses in London, but those buses are caught up in the traffic jams anyway. And then there is an underground railway network, but that, unfortunately, is now rather outdated. There hasn't been investment in it to modernise it. It is not properly maintained, so there are regular breakdowns, even more regular delays, and in recent years even, unfortunately, a number of serious accidents have taken place. So London has to try and deal with the problem of providing more satisfactory traffic facilities for its citizens and for visitors. And the current mayor of London, a man called Mr. Ken Livingstone, has been arguing for some time now for the introduction of a system which he hopes will kill two birds with one stone. That is, the introduction of a special charge for people who enter the city centre to drive there in their private cars, a system known as congestion charging. Then the money which comes from congestion charging, or at least a large share of it, is to be used for investment in public transport to try and provide a better public service. And that is why Mr. Livingstone believes that he could kill two birds with one stone in that way, because firstly, the very existence of the charge is going to dissuade a certain number of people from taking their car into the centre of town, and so that should automatically reduce the number of cars and therefore reduce the traffic jams. And then on the other hand, with more money for investment, one could improve the quality of services from public transport, and indeed one could get into a kind of virtuous circle in that with better public transport services, more people will be encouraged to use public transport and therefore may choose to leave their cars at home, which will mean even less traffic on the roads, even less problems with traffic jams, and so on and so forth. Now, of course, there are people who criticise this idea. There are some people who feel it's unfair, quite simply, that they should have to pay money to be able to drive in the centre of town. Some people say, well, we don't have any choice. It's not that we go and drive there for our pleasure, but we go there to work, and we've got to get to work somehow. And on top of that, there are particular categories of workers who feel it is particularly unfair in that they have to drive in the centre of London, but do not really contribute to the traffic jams. And that is particularly the case, for example, of those who work in food markets who have to get into London extremely early in the morning. For example, those who work in the fish markets come in even before dawn, and therefore, as they are driving at very unsocial hours, do not contribute to the congestion at all. But then they finish their work also relatively early, and they would like to drive home, rather logically, but then they can't drive home without paying the charge for driving in the centre of town. Therefore, they have asked for a special exemption to be granted from the congestion charge. Be that as it may, the initial results of the congestion charge, which was introduced very, very recently in London, appear to be rather positive. There is apparently already a significant reduction in traffic flows in the centre of London, and public opinion certainly seems to be reacting quite favourably. Thank you.